It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
What's going on, Lake of the Ozarks? It's your man, William Holtz, along with Uncle Chris. Time for another favorite show of Lake of the Ozarks, another cup of coffee with Will and Chris right here from Slumberland at the lake. And I'm telling you, don't look down here at my pasty white legs. You want to look up here at the beauty right here between Uncle
These are the money makers right here, baby.
What a weekend it was, man. Some crazy stories, some updates on some ongoing investigations, and an attempt to break the Guinness World Records for the largest boat parade. Falls short, but we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. But man, it's summertime at the lake, and we love us some summertime.
Man, I'm telling you, it kind of went from cold and rainy to hot like overnight, right? Didn't it? That's pretty normal, though. You kind of know it's coming, but man, just all of a sudden it was like 90s and 100s. So.
Well, this is the first summer I weigh this much in a long time, and I'm telling you, I'm the kind of guy that sweats when I swim, and it is getting you're out of control. Before we get too far down this rabbit trail, we better let you hear from our good friends at Slumberland at the Lake. And Chris, you were just taking a picture and sending it to Aunt Michelle. Credible lake sign. They have your home decor, they have your living room sets, your bedroom sets, and a whole lot more. And we're going to let you hear from our man Daryl with Slumberland.
Hey guys, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. This week, don't forget it's Father's Day. What does every father need in their life? A little relaxation. And do we have the recliners? We have over 30 in stock ready to go today, and they're all at great sale prices. All right, so come check out the recliners for Father's Day here at Slumberland Furniture, where it's always a good life.
Man, Daryl Cunningham, he's as cool as the other side of the pillow. Pun intended, because they have incredible pillows here.
Plenty of them.
And yeah. Daryl knows how to tell you which one's right for you and how important your pillow is. But man, you look at the docket of all these stories, Chris, and it's been a wild, couple of months with headlines here at the lake. And one that we've been working on pretty heavily as far as promoting and talking about is the Lake of the Ozarks attempt to break the Guinness World Record for the largest boat parade ever. Of course, you were part of it. What was your experience this weekend?
It was pretty interesting. We had to be in our holding area at 9:30, so we left our dock at about 8 because we weren't really sure how long it was going to take to get there, if there was going to be no wakes on the way to slow you down or whatever. And it was actually pretty easy to get there. It did get pretty rough when you get around, starting where all the boats are gathering. The waters were getting pretty rough and everything. So, but actually everything went pretty smoothly. They ran it really well. Kudos to the people who were running it, because from where we were, everything seemed to go pretty smoothly and well. The toughest part about it was the choppy water, but that's coming when you got 600 boats in this case. But it was a little disappointing that we fell so far short of the number we needed.
Yeah, and people were fairly negative, which is kind of common. In 2021, people want something to gripe about, and I saw everything from, if you didn't have so many hoops to jump through, or if you didn't have a $50 registration, or if you didn't have to display a flag, and it's like, man, and you just want to complain, you want to be part of something as cool as that, and that was pretty cool. And big kudos to all of the planning committee, from Legina Fitzpatrick and Heather Brown, David Shipp, of course, Michelle, you had Ricky, you had Casey Cloak, you had also the executive director with the Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, Paige Jones, and Tom Abbott, Mary Kay Von Brindle. They put a ton of time into planning this and coordinating this. And officially, I heard on the radio today that it was 505 boats that counted that Guinness actually gave credit to. Man, they had some pretty weird guidelines and restrictions that really you had to have. First, you had to complete the course, which that one was perfectly good. Had to have your flag displayed, but you couldn't have political flags.
Yeah, and to me, that is weird. If you're waving a Trump flag or a Biden flag, you don't count.
Please tell me you're not going to be waving a Biden flag.
No, that's never going to happen, right? Never. But, this is supposed to be a free country. Right. Put a Biden flag on there if you want. Why are you not counting that? That just seems asinine to me.
Well, I think Guinness is trying to do their best to seem non-biased and stay politically correct, but quite the contrary when you don't allow people to voice their beliefs. But that was a small number. There were only a few that didn't count. And
well, in all, I'm told that 612 boaters were counted by the parade judges. So if that's the case, 612, but they only counted 500 and some official, then they knocked off about 100, boats for some reason.
A lot of them split off and didn't finish the course. They saw the madness that was ahead and were like, we're going to peel out of here before it gets too crazy. But still, 500 plus boats. And the cool thing is the planning community in the area, they learned a lot. And there was more than a dozen states represented, a lot of people from areas that had never been to the lake and came down to attempt this, and they'll be back. And I mean, they only had 7 to 8 weeks to try to pull this off, and really you need 5 or 6 months
it's
to get
amazing
the word out.
How much they got in that short amount of time. Because I remember when Mary Kay, I think it was Mary Kay Von Brendel that came up with the idea from the amphitheater, and she came over to talk with us like that week. She said, I have this idea, what do you think? And that was only, maybe 2 months. Yeah. So they did all of this in 2 months, which is quite amazing. I think if they do this again in the future, give themselves a little more time to get everybody in the know and everything. I mean, from what I understand, there are about 30,000 docks registered at the Lake of the Ozarks, and most of those docks have more than one boat and several PWCs. I mean, if you just get half of those, then you got 15,000. So I think we can break the record easy. It's just a matter of maybe needing a little more time and all that stuff and getting people into it. So,
and Heather Brown said, she considered it a success and that many people had a great weekend, and don't be surprised if there's another attempt like this coming in the future. So stay tuned. Of course, Uncle Chris and I will keep you posted, and maybe it's our fault. Maybe we didn't do a good enough job promoting it.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's quite possible.
All right, so our next story, kind of a sad one. We continue to hear of crazy things happening at different lake establishments. Of course, the death, the shooting that took place at Lazy Gators just a few weeks ago, and now another Gary Pruitt property, Backwater Jacks. One of the security guards was on duty working at the property, and there were a couple of hooligans in about 9:55 who were pretty intoxicated and were harassing people, and deputies were dispatched, ended up asking them to leave. Well, about an hour and a half later, they were called back, the deputies, because these same two individuals looks like had jumped the security guard and pummeled him on the way to his car, and he came and told authorities, this according to LakeExpo.com, that he had no idea who did it. And the young man, I talked with his mother. He's a local. His name is Tyler Nafzinger, and it was pretty brutal. We'll show you photos here right off Tyler's Facebook page. We've got permission to use these from his mother, and she told me that he's worked at Backwater Jacks, but contracted through the security company, so not an actual employee of Backwater Jacks. And so he has a broken collarbone. He needs reconstructive surgery on his face. He has a subdural hematoma. Not exactly sure what that is. Doesn't sound good. You can see right here by these pictures off of Tyler's Facebook page. Looks pretty bad, and the assailant has not been caught yet. And his mother did want to make clear that even though he doesn't work for Backwater Jacks, the management team has been incredible to make sure Tyler has everything he needs right now, and are also cooperating with authorities and trying to make sure this individual is apprehended. But a sad deal, man.
Man, very sad. And this is not the first bad story we've heard from Backwater Jacks this year. It's like the third one already. So you kind of got to wonder what's going on over there, right? There are certain places around the lake that have great reputations, and there are certain places around the lake that have bad reputations. And it's turning out Backwater Jacks is starting to get this really poor reputation of what's going down out there. So this is pretty not good.
And the other one, also owned by Gary Pruitt, is Shady Gators and Lazy Gators, and that's another one that's been very common to hear of stories, and that's where, of course, that shooting took place. You've seen some other criminal activity this season. Now, I will say it looks like JG, who is the general manager of Shady and Lazy Gators and part owner, is enforcing a dress code. because he feels like a lot of the activity could be tied to the way people dress, whether it's gang activity. Saw some interesting posts on Lake Air happenings in regards to that. So be interesting to see if they can't get it cleaned up out there, because I know a lot of people love going to those establishments. And I'll tell you this, Backwater Jack's has some really, really good food, but I'd be too scared to go there and eat right now, unless you're going to deliver it to me.
And I know a lot of people that really like to go there. I mean, like my mother-in-law, an older lady, loves Backwater Jack. She loves to go over there. But with stuff like this happening, I think that makes people think twice before they go. And they go to places that have a lot better reputation than that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of establishments at the lake, and I could, list a long line of them. I mean, I look at Redheads, I look at Captain Ron's, I look at establishments like that. You just don't hear of those things taking place there, and I think it's the environment that your business promotes. And when you have things like the Zero Ducks Given party, and you have things like that, and of course you have your bikini contest and your white foam party at Shady Gators, I mean, you're going to attract a certain kind of crowd, and at some point in time you have to decide, what kind of crowd do we want here? What kind of environment are we trying to promote? And I think it's clear over the last few years, and especially this season in particular, those couple of establishments are one I'm not going to be going and frequenting.
No, and that's one of the things we're going to have to deal with, the lake area is going to have to deal with as we grow and become more popular. I mean, in the last few years, we've been named best recreational lake in the nation. Last year, everybody found us because of COVID, and we actually acted normal, right? So more and more people are finding out about the lake. More and more people are coming here. And unfortunately, sometimes that means more of the bad people come as well. So we're going to have to deal with that.
That's inevitable. And you think it's because of COVID. I think it's because Uncle Chris started Lake TV, so the whole world found out about Lake of the Ozarks. All right, so another story, similar cove right between 1932, the Reserve, and Backwater Jack's early Saturday morning. A cruiser burst into flames, 3 people on the boat. What can you tell me about that story?
The name of the boat was Last Call. Okay, so I don't know if that's apropos or not, but so it was at the Marina Dock, same cove as Backwater Jack's, and all of a sudden this boat explodes, right? And then, of course, the Missouri State Highway Patrol, they come right in, 3 occupants on the boat. They were able to get off. At least one of them had to jump in the water and everything. The boat was actually, once it had exploded, was on fire. It was adrift from the dock, and they were afraid it was going to float into other docks and set them on fire, which, I'd never really thought of. I'm kind of new to the lake, right?
Yeah.
So these things die, and so the Highway Patrol has to go in, latch onto it and tow it away from those docks to make sure it doesn't catch other boats and other docks on fire and just let it, burn out and everything. So 1 person transported to the hospital, 2 others, minor injuries, refused treatment. And from what I understand, again, this is not totally uncommon, because when you're fueling up the boat, obviously you're going to have fumes and sometimes, loose gas and stuff like that. You just have to be really careful about this, try to air things out and stuff like that. So I think we saw one of these last year right around the Grand Glaze Bridge. There was a big boat fire like that, and I think it was a fueling situation too. And you wonder why we on Lake TV, we run I think it's the Highway State Patrol stuff of how to fuel your boats. You see that every day on Lake TV. There's a reason for that, because we're trying to save some lives.
Yeah, man, right? It's important, and there are things you wouldn't think about when it comes to operating your car. That's a little more feasible for everyone to do. There are things you need to look into when it comes to fueling your boat, getting your boat ready to go. I'm not an expert in that. Luckily, we've got our friends in the Missouri Water Patrol, and we're actually about to reshoot updated boater safety tips, from everything from pullables to fuel to storing to winterizing and dewinterizing. And yeah, I mean, there is an increased risk when it comes to a vessel on Lake of the Ozarks, especially when you're talking about fuel and all the different stuff in there. So sad story. The great thing is everyone's going to be okay from that accident. No one lost their life. No one is seriously injured. So that's the real blessing.
And
there.
Some of it's just common sense, right? I mean, have you ever been at a gas station and then there's some yahoo over there who's lit up a cigarette, right? It's like, what are you doing, dude? Right? And sometimes it's just common sense,
Not saying that's what took place here. No. But yeah, I mean, you do see that sometimes in these stories. Is like
just at a regular gas station sometimes.
Right. All right, so a cooler story.
Yeah.
Speaking of fire, the headline on Lake Expo, very fitting, is True Teen Heroes.
Yeah.
Lake of the Ozarks high schoolers save man from burning car. The headline alone will give you chills.
This is the story we should be seeing more of, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the bad stories, these great stories. So 2 teenage girls quite possibly saved some guy's life after a car crash in, I think it was Miller County. So the 2 girls, Christian Cicerelli is 16 and a student at Osage High School, and then a 15-year-old student who asked not to be named. So these 2 girls are coming back from work, Route D, 10:30 on a Saturday night, and they see this car on fire, right? So they pull over, which is great. First of all, you don't just drive by and go, good luck, right? So they pull over, and apparently they said there were a couple of guys that were already there that had pulled the driver out of the car.
Broke the glass first, too.
Right.
Correct?
I mean, they're heroes too.
Yeah.
But they didn't stick around. You know, they pull the guy out of the car, saves his life from the fire, and then leave. So we don't know who they are, but good for you, man. But the girls are still there, and they call 911, you know, and there's this dude laying on the road. Then the fire starts getting bigger and bigger, and they decide we got to take that guy further away or he's going to die. So they go over, they pull him away, and probably do save his life. So there's 4 heroes here. The 2 guys that stopped first, and then these 2 girls, and the 2 girls waited until EMS arrived, and the guy was taken to the hospital. The driver was an 18-year-old Jonathan Cunningham. Lost control of the car, hit some rocks on the side of the road, and could have been even more tragic. So good for you, ladies. Man, way to go.
And Cicerelli said it was the worst car crash she had ever seen. And, you know, I'm glad for their sake that it was an 18-year-old, because I can't imagine two girls, 15 and 16-year-old, trying to move a body close to flame, you know, if it was someone my size.
I was just going to say, if it was like me, they would have had to get a jack out or hook me up to their car and drag me or something. You know?
But just another good ending. And Cicerelli said, you know, that night she could hardly sleep because she just wanted to make sure he was okay. And so good for them. I'm not exactly sure the shape or how Cunningham is doing, but I'm excited to hear the girls acted, and hopefully he'll make a full recovery.
Yeah, the last I heard, he was in stable condition, University Hospital, but has a long way to go, according to doctors. So he was injured pretty good there.
Well, good for you, girls, and your swift action. Okay, another story, an interesting story here, and this is an update, a Manhunt update, and this one is one that was actually just a few days prior to the update. Guns fired. A gun was fired, and it looks like the suspect was actually found dead due to a self-inflicted gunshot. What can you tell us as far as why this might have come about?
Well, the first article was on June 6th of when this happened. Okay. So apparently this guy shoots off a gun. It was in some sort of a confrontation. There was an investigation. Apparently he was even interviewed and let go. And, you know, the interview goes on. Well, and then they find the suspect dead in Laclede County. So apparently he went home and committed suicide. And I'm trying to see, they gave us a name on him. Michael Herranzi was his name. And not the first time something like this had happened with him. Apparently back in February, he was arrested after a fight over a woman, during which he fired multiple rounds into another man's trailer. So not the first time this happened with him. Obviously a troubled individual. Goes home and commits suicide after all this. So very sad story.
Sad story, and one of the one from February, I thought it was interesting. Kind of reminded me of the story with the homeowner, you know, the lawyer in St. Louis that came out of his house to protect, where the authorities, they were looking for Herranzi by aerial flight, by airplane or by drone, and through the air, looking through him with video. Couldn't find him, and they suggested to the homeowners that were the ones that were frightened, they suggested they leave their house for the night, and they refused to do so. They said, we're not leaving. And luckily, you know, nothing ended up happening to them, although it looks like their house was shot at. But yeah, I mean, you're right, a troubled individual, and he apparently could no longer take whatever was going on. So sad story. And that's an update. He is found, so suspect no longer being looked for. But sad story, Chris. And man, it is wild here over the last few months just how many of these crazy headlines we've had down here at the lake.
I know, it really is, and it is sad and disturbing. And, you know, hopefully we'll get more of those good stories, like the girls that saved the lives and stuff like that. So.
Well, you're going to be upset with me because I've got another bad headline. Mistrial, Lake of the Ozarks double murder case, now 5 years old, is going to hit reset. Stephen Ensley, back in 2016, had actually murdered 2 women. He started their trailer on fire. He is accused of murdering 2 women. This was linked to, he had said that to many people that were witnesses after the case, that he didn't think they should be living. And now here, all the way forward, 2021, it's deemed a mistrial. Never even got jurors selected. And prosecuting attorney for Camden County, Caleb Cunningham, is just sick. He said, here we are hitting reset. He does say it has a lot to do with COVID and complications created by that, and he said it's not on the prosecution. But also in 2017, Ensley had asked for new counsel, and then he had asked for a new judge, and those things were continuing to get granted, and that was extended even further. But now in 2021, it was set to go to trial, and it's going to be deemed a mistrial. So weird situation. They're going to hit reset on that. And all I can hope, not having a lot of facts or being very close to the situation, is that justice is served and that the truth is found out. So apparently something's going on where they felt like a mistrial had to happen, and they're going to start over. In 5 years of taxpayer dollars put into this. And
is he out, or is he behind bars?
No, I would say he's got to still be behind bars. I would certainly not think.
Wow.
I think it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of what exactly his punishment will be, because there've been a lot of talks of capital punishment, but don't have a ton of information. Just a huge headline. Lake Expo, they had started to cover it yesterday when the trial was supposed to happen or start, and then just hours into that, the new headline that we got on the Lake Alert was mistrial, and we'll reset that entire case. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It's boy, sometimes. And the way America's been going the last few years, justice has taken a hit. But in this situation, you wonder why. Wonder why it's taken so long and it's been so hard to figure it out. So
sometimes they say it's not about what you know; it's about what you can prove in a court of law. So
no doubt about that.
So on our local stories, we are going to end on a positive note.
All right, good.
Now that everyone's sad and depressed on the set, you and I, with all these sad stories and bad headlines, this one's pretty cool. So you see a lot, Chris, nowadays about the service industry, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's we want you to take good care of our help for the ones that did show up, or of course people griping because they went somewhere and waited God knows how long, got bad service and not happy. So I want to read you a post on Lake Area Happenings by Shannon Derumpel, and this is really, really cool. This reads, and it's from a few days ago. It says, I see a lot of postings about terrible people in the service industry out there. She goes, I work in the service industry and can tell you that I generally cannot stand most people because they're rude and awful. But today I saw something different. Tonight I had a group of 6 teens at the end of my shift. I mistakenly was annoyed at first. They came in and sat in my section. When I brought them their dinner, I accidentally interrupted their prayer. They let me join hands and pray with them, and one of them said, thank you for joining us afterwards. These teens were such a blessing to me tonight, a night that felt so awful to me. I was exhausted as the only server on shift. I wanted to just walk out. Whoever you were, thank you for raising some amazing babies. They were so wonderful and made me smile the rest of my night.
Wow, how
awesome?
Cool is that?
So,
wow, that's amazing. That's fantastic.
I think teens.
Teens. That you just automatically look and say, oh, there's a bunch of idiots or something, But sometimes we forget. Every human was born with a power of affecting people's lives.
Absolutely.
And we have that opportunity every day. And most of the days we fall short, but many days we may have that chance. So good job, man. That's fantastic.
And it's cool, too, because the transparency from Shannon, she goes, listen, first I saw him and I was like, I was having a bad night. I was the only server. Teens, and sometimes, younger kids don't have a lot of money, may not be great tippers, may be more needy, but not these 6.
Yeah.
They were raised up right, and, right out of the mouths of babes is biblical. And sometimes you learn more from the young than you'll ever learn from us. So supposedly grown men, so just a really cool story, and that was incredibly popular.
That's great news.
As of last night, had over like 2,600 reactions on Facebook, and that's the kind of thing that you want to see more of and just love seeing. Okay, so for sports and national, nothing that we care about sports-wise, nothing really going on right now.
College World Series tournament, though.
Oh, yeah.
So that starts this week.
You love that.
So I do love that.
And that's cool. I don't know, I've been a little soured on baseball, but national headline, this is kind of wild. The chemical plant catches fire in Rockton, Illinois, and we're going to show you pictures and video here. This is just wild. Chemtool is the name of this plant, and they have lubricants and chemicals inside, and something went haywire Monday morning, and the whole place was set ablaze. You see here, and all the employees were evacuated, and all of the residencies within a mile radius were also evacuated, and you'll just see here some of these breathtaking photos, some of this video here, and that black smoke was seen for miles and miles. Now, the blessing is no one was hurt that they know of. Everyone was evacuated. The only person that was taken to the hospital was a firefighter that had smoke inhalation and had problems there, and they said that over 170 firefighters from 45 different fire districts responded, and not sure exactly yet of the cause, but look how crazy it is. And being in Illinois, it's not too awfully far from here, pretty close to Rockford, Illinois, that I have some friends from there, and so you see just these pictures and these videos, Chris. I mean, that is just a crazy fire, and they said they expect that it's just going to run its course over the next few days, and it could be days and even a week or more until this completely burns down. There's nothing they can really do when you talk about oil and things like that, but just crazy right there. So that's a wild one. I saw that and I was like, man, that is breathtaking. Sometimes we're so drawn to those sites like that,
absolutely.
So now that I know no one got hurt, it's like I'm interested to see how long this runs its course. All right, so since we had so many bizarre and off-the-wall headlines, please tell me you have something inspirational for me.
I've got some inspirational for you here. Kevin Byrne starts his new show this week. That's
Awesome.
right, 7 in the morning, 11 at night, What's Burning with KB. A lot of fun segments to the show where he's going to be out in the community doing things, and then KB being KB in the studio talking about the things he loves to talk about. So be sure to join KB starting this week for that.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, he's got some great guests. I'm not 100% sure this week, but I know he loves to bring on Professor Jim Paisley and then Bill Lacasse, who is a financial advisor and so knowledgeable, and the things they'll talk about will give you guys insight, will give you guys entertaining elements, and you got to tune in again this Thursday, 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. New show every week on Thursday, but you can catch it every single day anywhere Lake TV is found.
And of course, we keep going with Community Spotlight Show.
Yep.
Every day right here on Lake TV, a new guest every week. This week it's Nathan Bechtold with Lake Expo. So many great stories. Yeah. Nathan's a great guy, and he's pretty, so he makes me look bad, right?
And in my opinion, Nathan Bechtold, the greatest journalist the Lake's ever seen. The guy is just an amazing writer. He's got a gift with words. He's so intellectually gifted. Nathan is awesome, and you got to hear a little bit about this guy because he is a gem.
He really is. Now, with KB's new show starting up, this week at 7 and 11. Some of the other shows, like the Community Spotlight Show, our show, Cup of Coffee, we're changing times a little bit. So you'll, starting Thursday, you'll see Cup of Coffee with Will and Chris. You'll see us every day. The new show every week at 8 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 8 at night. The Spotlight Show you'll see at 9 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, 7 at night. Those are the new ones every week. And then What's Burning KB at 7 and 11. So there's a little bit of a time shuffle there. If you've gotten used to seeing us at a certain time, that's going to change a little bit because KB's show coming on and we're moving things around. But you'll get used to it. We'll still be here for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, upcoming events this weekend. Jamie Johnson and Whiskey Myers, the Ozarks Amphitheater, nearly a sold-out show. Go to ozarksamp.com. And next weekend, Chris, it's going to be Crazy Rodney Carrington on Friday, Sticks with Collective Soul on Saturday. Wow. And one that I'm most excited about is Missouri Symphony Orchestra.
We're going to that.
Sunday.
Are you guys going to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
You don't want to miss it with the acoustics at the amphitheater. Wow. And, of course, we just announced yesterday on Lake TV, Kane Brown coming to the Ozarks Amphitheater on August 13th.
Cool.
That's going to be massive, so you're going to want to check that out. For Uncle Chris, I'm William Holtz. Big shout out to Jill Ray and her team here at Slumberland. And of course for Andrew, Megan, filling in for Ricky and our staff. We'll see you guys next week.